JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean is really cool. I finished Stone Ocean not too long ago, and it's about time I gave my thoughts on it, seeing that the anime will take who knows how long to be completed. I don't want to wait another year and a half just to be allowed to talk about it, because, I mean, Stone Ocean is almost 20 years old as a story since it started. Plus, it can also serve to be what I'm looking forward to in the anime, because there are some moments that might make it better due to having music, animation, presentation, voice acting, etc. Like with Hunter x Hunter, there are just some moments that would be a headache just to only read, so the anime can be a much better alternative to experience. And I don't want to try and sugarcoat anything in here. If I say I didn't like something, then I didn't like it. Same goes for things I did genuinely enjoy as well. So, let's get into the review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean. The first matter that many love to discuss about the JoJo story are the characters. Without them, things wouldn't be as insane or bizarre. There, I said it. And there are usually three factors when it comes to all the JoJo parts, or any story in general, of how the characters are handled. The JoJo, JoBros, JoFo. Protagonists, side characters, and antagonists. This part's main JoJo is none other than the flighty, feisty, freedom-seeking fighter, Jolyne Cujoh. I like her. I love her rather bashful nature on certain topics when she really can't speak her mind, but when she does speak up, she's pretty blunt, especially on things that she hates, be it situations or people, and she wouldn't be much of a Joestar without her actions speaking louder than words. Holy shit, I love the way that Jolyne fights. One of the many things I absolutely adore about Bruno from Vento Arreo is how he would move with his stand, instead of just sending it out like a Pokemon and waiting for results. Nah, Bruno has no problems throwing out a punch or kick from his own body. Jolyne's the same way. Like, she has her own fighting stance even. I always heard that Part 6 probably has the most hand-to-hand combat in the whole series, and Jolyne's a prime factor to that notion, and I get it now. It's refreshing, especially when she's pretty brutal when fighting her opponents. Also similar to every Joestar, there's a number of enemies who get the beatdown. Jolyne has more quality over quantity in terms of her beatdowns. She doesn't go for length or time like with Jotaro or Giorno, but the finishing blows she delivers in her battles are powerful and painful, like her fight with Gwess, Lang, and fucking Marashan, like Jesus. This is all due to her stand, Stone Free. It has a really cool design, like it has sunglasses. Come on, that's instantly cool. And all the number of ways Jolyne uses her stand in tandem with herself is always a sight to behold for me. Because, again, she moves with her stand because, well, she kinda has to due to the strings that she produces are her body itself. I like that. So making traps and webs like Hierophant Green, another personal favorite stand, or swinging place to place, creating nets or stitches. It's almost limitless on what she can do. It's really cool to see how she quickly keeps adapting her stand for every problem there is. My favorite moment would probably have to be her creating a Mobius strip all over her body to negate the effect of Sea Moon. That was badass. Other than all of that, the only thing I guess that's a con that comes to mind for Jolyne is that her development isn't that major over the course of Stone Ocean. Don't worry, I get how she goes from being bitter to Jotaro to literally lighting herself on fire just to fight one guy for his sake, and later fight a stand who can fucking manipulate gravity itself. That's really cool. In comparison to the other Joestars and what I've read so far, she's probably my third favorite. The bronze medal or stone medal might not be much, but me saying that means that she's one of my overall favorite characters, like compared to like everyone in the series by far. And I'll be forward and say that I like her more than Giorno at least. So, Jolyne's good. How's the rest of the JoJo team this part around? Part 3 of the Stardust Crusaders, Part 4 the Moria Warriors, or Dwayne Gang, whichever floats your boat, Part 5, Passione or The Gang. I like calling the Part 6 cast the Stone Squad, because you can't go wrong with alliteration. So, how are they? In comparison to the previous parts, for example, they're honestly fine. They get the job done. Hermes, being many who consider the Joe bro of this part, is fine at best. Kind of follows an Okuyasu pattern. She's there for a good chunk of the beginning of the story, has her own arc about avenging her sister, kick-ass fight of battling invisible zombies, and then just kind of takes a strong backseat for the last third of the story, though her tag team fight with Jolyne versus Donatello was honestly really cool. Next is Anasui. He's also just fine. Nothing really sticks out about his character to me. He's a bit more love-driven than what I anticipated, but other than that, nothing too much from him. Except his stand is really dope. I like Diver Down. How it can just phase through virtually anything is fun to look at. Emporio is just Hayato, but an extended version, and with a gun. Weather, on the other hand, is awesome. At first, he seemed like a guy that was just kind of there, and that's it. In a way, that's the point, since he doesn't have his memory for 87% of the part, but when he does get his memory back, he's almost completely a different person, and the same thing goes for his stand. Oh fuckles, it's Knuckles. Weather Report, the stand is busted beyond belief, and that is so cool. Like, I think the moment that really captured that feeling for me was when he said, "Oh, the fastest hurricane recorded moved at nearly 300 miles per hour. Too bad I can't recreate something faster." But he could recreate the same weather disaster if he wanted to. Like, holy shit. And mind you, I'm not even talking about heavy weather, the stand. That speaks for itself. Like, I don't need to say anything about that one. And then Jotaro's back once more. Jotaro, guys! He may not be in the exact same position he was in Diamond is Unbreakable. You know, the dude that everyone would either go to or avoid if there was a problem. It's really something else seeing Jotaro being in the leadership position. He doesn't really get to do that as much in Stone Ocean, seeing that his unconscious body is the main drive of the story. But when he is back in action for the last arc, it's super cool. Him just being called Mr. Jotaro is something I love. Even with all of them, it's nothing but a race for second place, because the best one out of all of them, without a doubt, is Foo Fighters. What a fun, lovable character. One second she could not know a single thing, to wanting to kill someone just for touching a cup of water. She's fantastic. She seriously became one of my favorite characters in the whole series. Her all-over-the-place personality to the way she fights as a stand herself, literal finger guns, her simple yet pleasing design. Beautiful character. I love this shoot your goo, my dude, Foo Foo group of plankton. Can't be bested.
Out of your friends, which are you? Truck freak crazy ass. The fire.
Now the next character that pushes the whole story for not only themselves, but also for the protagonist who has as much influence over the story, the antagonist. And in Stone Ocean, Enrico Pucci is that antagonist. The main villains of Jojo are usually major characters that go through more development than the main Jojo themselves. Very evident seeing that nearly the end of each story, they get stronger in some way. And I can definitely say that Pucci is a very interesting villain. And from the fact that he's the main one, he of course gets all the attention and hype. The most concise way to describe Pucci is that he's like a mix of Dio and Diavolo, very fitting from his religious ideals. And what I mean is that he'll of course just send stand user after stand user to try and thwart the Stone Squad, but he also has no problems getting his own hands dirty when the chips are down. Like, oh, those stand users didn't work? Okay, Whitesnake, snatch their weave. I like Pucci. He's a very confident villain that doesn't lose his cool as much as one would think. He actually takes his time and tries to plan things out as thoroughly as he can, and he never lets his ego get in the way of his goals. Say compared to the prior main baddies, he doesn't brag about his power to the point where it would get him screwed over due to his own pretentious attitude. No, not really, not most of the time at least. He's calm, collected, and concentrated on his goals, and he would only start to lose because he underestimated his opponent by a slight margin. The only thing I don't like about him, not personally as a character, but his stand, and I'm only bringing this up here because it's his stand, Whitesnake. Look, I'm all for the disc thing. I like it, because Pucci makes it work in terms of being versatile and dangerous. But honestly, it feels like it can just kind of do whatever it wants when it's convenient. Discs? Cool. Illusions? Alright. What kind? Whatever he feels like at the moment. Literal acid trips, copying people's appearances, creating mirages, filing your taxes, using other people's bodies, playing Duck Hunt, be a Pokemon and evolve 2 more times. Like, after a certain point, it made me ask, what can't White Snake do? That's all it comes down to. But I digress. His other stands are cool. Sea Moon and Made in Heaven are dope through and through, and everything else I've said still stands about him. Now, it can't be Jojo if there weren't crazy, over-the-top, bloody fights left and right. And Part 6 definitely delivers. With there being 21 completed fights throughout the part, there were honestly some bangers in here, and then there were a few that just straight up sucked. I can certainly say that it's cool seeing Jolyne in most of the fights. It's rare in comparison where she's completely sidelined or just straight up not there, but most of Jolyne's fights are always fun to read, and I can't wait to enjoy them again in anime form. I'll flat out say that most of the fights, I don't have much to complain about. They were either outstanding to okay. There's really only 2 battles I genuinely did not like. The worst part for both cases is that they were back to back, and you probably know where I'm going with this. Let me start off with this at least. The concept of the maximum security arc is awesome, because it's essentially the stand gauntlet that Jolyne has to try and fight her way out of. All the while when this one stand that's somewhat hidden gives everyone a stat boost and attack. The Westward Guard fight is the most brutal and metal fight in the whole series. And we've had the Metallica battle before. From what I said before of how Jolyne fights alongside her stand, she pretty much uses Stone Free as heavy attacks to try and finish off Viviano. And how it's all executed is so intense. Just this absolute hand-to-hand, lockdown, bloody, amazing battle. Unfortunately, the hype dies down from what happens after that, which is Dragon's Dream. I've heard it all when it came to the showdown and how it's one of the worst in the entire series, and I didn't want to bandwagon just yet. I wanted to make my own conclusion, but goddamn, man, this fight is so fucking boring and painful to read. It's not even from the fact that there's a lot more exposition than usual for a JoJo fight of how something works. It's whatever. It's that 90% of the fight, it's just Foo Fighters getting ripped apart piece by piece, and they're nearly shocked to death. You think that would be the end of it, but no, this old bastard had to stay alive for like another chapter just so Honestly could crush his legs. Okay, cool. Could have ended a lot sooner and better. And then immediately after that is the Yo-Yo Ma fight, which is confusing beyond hell. I seriously hate this fight because nothing really happens. It doesn't feel like anything's happening. I don't even understand how the fucking enemy stand works. And the only vital thing that happens is Anasui just says,
I like it, Cujoh.
And that's that. What? Did this really need to be 5 chapters? I know it's nothing in reality, and I know the whole thing that Araki was going for is like, oh, if you look away from Yo-Yo Ma, you'll die. Like, okay, cool, but like, everything else that was happening with it just felt so slow and boring of like, oh, is he gonna do something? I don't know. Oh no, he's attacking us. This is fucking boring. I hate it. Right after that is the Green Child arc. That's okay. And I'm only saying that and just kind of skimming through it because right after all of that, even though all of those other fights were painful, the Foo Fighters versus Pucci battle, holy shit, this class is just, I don't even know how to put it into words. So I'm just gonna fanboy for a minute here, if you guys don't mind. So hang tight. Alright, so like, Foo Fighter shoots her fucking brains out, so her Standis kills D and G, and then escapes, but then Pucci was like, oh no, I'm 2 steps ahead by boiling her alive with water, but then Foo Fighters was 3 steps ahead by having weather report on the radio and making it fucking rain. Like, holy shit, dude. Then Jolyne squares off against Pucci. Oh my god. Oh man, I cannot wait to see this again animated. It is fucking perfect. I love it. Okay, enough of that. When it comes to the final battle though, I would say it starts when they arrive at the Space Center, or try to arrive there. The Brolic hand-to-hand fight with Sea Moon is cool, Jotaro and Hermes coming in to save the day was hype, and then Made in Heaven is achieved, After that, Pucci just tries to go for the speed run, but he forgot that he can't clip through burning down the house and weather report at the same time, and then the universe resets with the Stone Squad and a child scarred for the rest of his life. You love to see it. For the overall theme of freedom, it's pretty well done. A slight unorthodox method of ending the Joestar curse is, well, not to have the Joestars anymore. Not the first thing people would try to go to and solve this issue, but it worked technically. The Stone Squad technically got to escape the twisted fate and live out better lives. I know some people might not like the ending, but in terms of how the story was going overall, you can tell things were starting to reach a peak in terms of how Jojo could be, and if it just kept going, it would have just had this insane power creep that would have just ruined it. Like, we already have GER, and then we just got made in heaven by the end. In terms of power and threat, there's not much left for the protagonists and antagonists to deal with. Like, Pucci reset the fucking universe, guys. Where do we go from there? If it kept going, it would have been pretty bad, like of most of Dragon Ball Super or the end of Naruto. So, in and out of universe, Araki essentially had to, quote-unquote, end the Joestar bloodline and start over with a different take on it. So overall, when it comes to Stone Ocean, I liked it. It's not my favorite part, sure, and it's definitely not my least favorite part. It definitely sits at a very comfortable third place when counting all of the parts so far. Jolyne is a kick-ass Jojo. Pucci is a cool villain who always finds a way to make me jump out of my seat because he's very different. The Stone Squad are a fun group of misfits, and like, it's the only part to have Foo Fighters, so that's an automatic 10 points. The fights range from really awesome to unfortunately really bad, so hopefully the anime could spruce them up by some means to not make them unbearable, and I don't mind the ending. At least it's memorable and truly feels like an ending to a journey, and not just, okay, we're done, bye. Because the major characters feel like a combination of what previous parts had and kind of worked from there. Like with what I said of Pucci being a mix of Dio and Diavolo, or Jolyne having traits of her father, you know, punch first, ask questions while punching, and then her sharp mind like Joseph and Josuke, and then so on for other characters. I like part 6, it is a very solid part, and I will get to Steel Ball Run when I feel like it and give my review whenever. And I think that's everything that I can honestly say about Stone Ocean. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know what to do with all the links that I provide and everything of the sort. Thank you for watching. That's greatly appreciated, of course. Have a great day, have a great night, and everything else you know what to do.